Alright, hey everybody, my name is Olivia Archer, and this is the second episode of the Sphoxie porting over from UDK to Unreal Engine 4 development blog. That's a handful. So I'm going to try and keep this down to 7 minutes so it doesn't drag on. It's been a while since the last update, but I've made quite a bit of progress. Now the menu is more or less functional. I'm missing the customize and exit button because I didn't build them in the original mobile version, so I'll have to go back into a 3D program and do that and export it over. There shouldn't be any worries. Options and stats, like the functions work, but the screens are not there yet. It works with the mouse, plus the keyboard and the controller, and I'll be adding touch function in the future for iOS and Android and whatever touchscreens happen. Same with the level select, it works with the mouse, mouse over, keyboard as well, up, down, left, right. You can select your level, it's pretty intuitive, and it works with the controller as well, plus the keyboard and the mouse. These don't work yet. You can go back to the main menu. Let's go to the first level. I added an intro, it's going to show the name, show you the 4 red cubes that you need to collect, and then the exit. So let's do a level. So I added these are supposed to be the yellow cubes, and then I added a little function that makes them CQ based on physics. I'll refine it because they can actually escape you. As you can see up here, I tried to do the UI as like a 3D connected to the character, but I can't figure out how to turn motion blur off just for that, so that's why it looks so squiggly, because of the motion blur. So I'm just going to move it into a Unreal motion graphics thingy and then do a proper UI so that the motion blur doesn't affect it. Wow. Nvidia is really my video card is really throttling sometimes. Anyways, it's not even hot, really. It's like 60 degrees. Anyway, so yeah. Also, I added a system so like when you fall off a level, it will take you to the last red cube that you got. And for example, if you were to get a red cube ahead of one here, it should take you. Oh, that was too hard of a drop. There's an endgame function, as we can see. Let's restart. A very ghetto loading screen. A bug to fix there. You can also skip all of that because it'll probably get tedious after a while. So for example, if we're to skip this one and get this one and then jump off the level, it should take us back to the initial starting. Yeah. So that way, if there are levels where if you advance too far, you can't get back to the original position. That should prevent that from happening. Let's get all of them and see the end sequence. Remove the mouse because that's annoying. Get all of the cubes. Go down this little bridge. I've kind of tweaked the controls. They need a bit more tweaking, but they're much better than the original so far. I feel like there's a lot of precision. And then exit, win sequence, menu. I mean, you have to be psychic to see this stuff, but it works. I'm going to restart because I didn't show the pause menu. So again, you have to be psychic, but this is like return to game, restart, and menu. So it all works. Basic loop. So yeah. Now let's look at some blueprints. I'm going to leave this simulating and let's look at the Azure menu blueprints, if I can find them. So this is what it looks like so far. I'm using an index with a switch. So this is basically getting the axis, since I have a very strong multiplier in the thing. It's 100, so if it's 100, I know if it's going up or down. If it's 0 or less than 100, I know it's not really going into any direction. The 100 is because of the gamepad, so that I can have 5 levels of sensitivity on the joystick. So you can actually control, like if you push it a little bit forward, he goes really slowly. And there's a delay to make it, to prevent it from going crazy, because if there was no delay and then you use the keyboard, it would just be ridiculous. So that's why the delay exists. I'll make it shorter so it doesn't seem so choppy. And then we go into a switch. So with the keyboard, it assumes that you start at 0. I mean, not at 0, but actually 3, and that's number 1. And then based on where you put it to, it gets the new index, and then so it knows where to go. And so it's between 2 switches for up and down, 2 switches for left and right. The way that the mouse works is that once you mouse over one of the collision boxes that represents a button, it assigns an index and then gives you the hand thingy, and then it goes from the mouse over to here, and then since it has an index, it highlights the correct one and sets the new index. So yeah, I mean, it was pretty confusing to set it up, but like this it's actually quite efficient and it looks cool, I would think, in a fun way when you see it all in action. So like woo. And that's just the mouse, and then if we add in the keyboard, it gets even crazier when you go all over the place. And then keyboard and mouse at the same time. It's just crazy. So that was fun to play around with. And then, for example, let's say you press the first level. What happens is that there is the action. So if you press space, it figures out where you were. Don't really need the index for unclick because we know what we clicked. And then you load the level. Well, I think this is the name. So I set the level name. I disable the input. I get my level loading blueprint, and then I send the level name to there, and this blueprint kind of just does all the work. So it's a little bit more simple. It's way more simple than in the UDK, because in UDK I would repeat this like for as many levels as I need, but here I can just send the name and have the simple level startup function, and then it's all good. Alright, I forgot to show here that I actually made my custom function for the location because I wanted the highlight to appear behind the buttons here instead of like on top of them. So what happens is I made this little very simple function that just breaks the vectors. I minus 1.6 from the y, that makes it very little bit behind it. Oh, that's 7 minutes, I should stop this. And then yeah, you get the highlighter thing. I'm going to stop here to prevent this from going very long, but I'm slowly building up the game. I need to change that into a switch. And then, yeah, so it's coming along quickly. I noticed that for like, if you're going to call functions, you don't actually need to get a loop and do a get. You can just put the actor class directly into the call function. Like for example, can I not? All right, simulating. If I call this out, like, you can just get the functions directly. I mean, this is assuming you only have one of these items. If you have more of these items, it is very good to use for each loop, so you can actually call each one of them out separately. This is for the red cubes. This is actually how I get their location. So when you start a game, input gets enabled. I find all the red cubes in the level, and then through a multi-gate, I set the camera, so based on their index it makes a delay. It's kind of a strange way of doing it, but this way each camera shows in the order that I set it into their index. So it plays in order, and then you get the preview, and then so it's a little calculation to figure out the order and the timing. It's simple stuff. And then the gate, so I actually have it on the fourth one, so I want the fourth camera to actually launch the sequence, next sequence. We wait for 2 seconds so that it stays there on 2 seconds, then it goes back up to the final camera, to the little dude. You can see him. And then we actually also get the current location the billboard, because I built a billboard, so when I place this billboard in the level, whoa, this guy here, the Unreal Dinosaur, this is actually the location he's going to spawn to, and that's why there is that. Set actor location after possess my pawn, so I'm back in control. Enable input, get a little dude, start off his events. Probably going to need to clean this up. Then for the fall catcher, this is actually important. I call the fall catcher and I give the initial location to the fall catcher so that if I haven't collected any red cubes, start back from the beginning. And then as I collect the red cubes, I have their locations. And this is how I handle it in the beginning, and then so the locations get kind of set up here. So there's a switch that figures out which red cube has been picked up. And then yeah, it sets it to the location. And then there's also the system, yeah, this is why there are the conditions, the checks to make sure that you haven't got one ahead of it or behind, like it's, you know, you're following the correct order. Anyway, I could go on forever, but I'm going to stop here because I promised to do only a short amount of time. And then if you have any questions or would like me to go into depth on something specific, please just let me know. I'm very willing. I'm also getting used to the transition from the UDK to the Unreal Engine. It was a bit daunting at first, but I'm actually really liking it. And then hopefully Sphoxie will be awesome. It already looks prettier. And then once I have all these fundamental systems put in, do all the levels, it'll be much easier because I'd be able to just slide in these things and it will do all the math for me, all the functions. It's pretty cool. I'm liking it. The last two big systems I need to do would be the saving system, how it saves all the variables, like when you have the win condition, your high scores, option menus and stuff like that. And what is the last hard thing to do besides the saving? I don't know. There's always hard things to do. The saving system should be hard enough, I guess. And hopefully my NVIDIA card will stop throttling. I don't know why. I'll show you. I can bring GPU Z over. I mean, temperature is okay. It's not even overclocked or anything. It just throttles randomly. And utility, that means it thinks it should be idle. Come on. Come on. See, it goes nicely when it's not being annoying. And then it throttles. Seriously. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Questions, comments, or maybe an idea how I could fix this. I've tried so many things. It never works. Alright. See you next time. I'll try and do these more frequently because I'm actually getting some good momentum now.